Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I have come once again with another interesting video. So if your subject is English and you have been preparing for KVS, NVS or any state level teaching and PGT exams, this video is meant for you, okay? This series will cover all the important topics regarding figures of speech and will also highlight those topics in which you often get confused. So without further ado, let's get started. Personification versus pathetic fallacy. Now you can say, or you might ask, why did I choose such simple topics, such easy topics? Personification, because everyone knows what is personification. We have been taught personification since class 7 or 8, but still there are something that you should know, you need to know, okay? Now I know that everyone knows what is personification and what is pathetic fallacy, since they have a graduation or master degrees in English literature. But whenever they find a question where they are given a stanza of poem and are asked to find out figure of speech, they often make mistakes when it comes to personification and pathetic fallacy. It is because they do not have a clear conception regarding this two topics. They aren't able to differentiate between the two. So in this video, I will try my level best to explain these two terms properly and also would let you understand the difference between the two. Okay. So personification, we all know that personification means when you humanize a non-human object by giving them human attributes. Human attributes means human action, human qualities and human behaviors. And non-human objects such as nature, it can be animals, it can be any other inanimate object, and most importantly abstract ideas. So what is personification? Personification is the attribution of any human quality, action or attribute to non-human things. When we say we are personifying, we mean that we are humanizing a non-human object. So here I have first shared some easy examples. In case you don't know what is personification, it will be helpful for you, or in case you have forgotten. Okay. So let's start with some simple examples, then we will move on to some difficult examples. The wind whispered through the trees, the flowers danced in the trees. Now, a very famous lines from the poem Leisure by W.H. Davies. No time to turn at beauty's glance and watch her feet how they can dance. So in these three examples, what we can see, the wind is whispering, the flowers are dancing, beauty, an abstract idea, is also dancing. So here, wind and flower, these are two natural objects, objects of nature. The poet, in order to beautify his text, has attributed human qualities to them. Like the wind is whispering, wind never whispers, but when the gentle wind blows through the trees, the leaves makes rustling sounds, right? Whenever gentle breeze blow, it has its own soothing sound. And when it get mixed up with the leaves, the dry leaves, the leaves make rustling sound. So altogether it makes a kind of a sound which seems to us as if the wind is whispering something to the ears of the trees or the leaves. The flowers are dancing. Flowers can never dance. Humans can dance, right? So flowers, the movement of flowers. The movement of flowers has been personified here. And in the third example, beauty, that is an abstract idea, has been personified as a woman who can dance, right? So if you observe these three sentences clearly, you can find that in all the three examples, the poet has created a vivid imagery and has beautified the text by using personification. The poet has personified wind, personified flowers and beauty by attributing it some human quality. Okay? Now, pathetic fallacy. So first I am discussing or I am explaining these two terms, then later on I will come back to the difference between the two. Okay. So the term pathetic fallacy comes from the Latin word pathos, which means feeling, and the word fallacy, which comes from the Latin word fallax, meaning deceitful or false. So if you put together these words, suggest what it would suggest: assigning human feelings to non-human things is a falsehood. So pathetic fallacy means when you assign human qualities, behavior or action to a non-human object, it becomes irrational. So the original meaning of pathetic fallacy was emotional falsehood. Remember it, the original meaning of pathetic fallacy was emotional falsehood. For the candidates who have been appearing for, who will appear for West Bengal SLTST teacher selection exam, so there it is likely that there are huge possibility that the question papers will be descriptive, in descriptive form. There will be questions which would carry 2 marks. So for you, the detailed knowledge of the topic is very important. So I am repeating again that the original meaning of pathetic fallacy was an emotional falsehood. Okay. The term pathetic fallacy was coined by a British writer named John Ruskin, who defined it as emotional falseness. Ruskin originally used the term to criticize what he saw as the sentimental attitude of 18th century romantic poets toward nature. So what did I say? That the original meaning of pathetic fallacy was emotional falseness. For him, a poet's tendency to project his or her emotions outward onto the workings of the natural world was a kind of false vision. So basically, he is trying to indicate the romantic poets. We all know that romanticism is a response or was a response to the Industrial Revolution. Due to rapid industrialization, men became so rational that they completely forgot to admire nature. They completely forgot to worship their creator, the God, because they no longer believed in God. If you remember Charles Darwin's Origin of Species. So all these resulted in the birth of romanticism, return to nature. So here John Ruskin, who was also very influenced by Industrial Revolution, he actually used this term to criticize those romantic poets, because for him the sentimental attitude, that is extravagantly emotional rather than rational attitude of 18th century romantic poets was a meaningless thing. Okay, but now, so what is the modern day concept? What is the modern day concept? In modern concept of pathetic fallacy means when a writer attributes human emotions to things that aren't human, such as objects, weather or animals. It is often used to make the environment reflect the inner experience of a narrator or other characters. Very important. In personification, I have had said that personification gives human attributes to non-human objects. Non-human objects means all things that can be included over here, be it an abstract idea, be it nature, be it any inanimate objects. And what did I say? That human attributes means here human quality, action or behavior. I haven't say human emotions or feelings. The examples that you have got over here, you can see the wind whisper, the flowers dance, beauty's glance. There are the activities of the nature which has been personified over here. What did I say in pathetic fallacy? That pathetic fallacy means when you attribute human feelings and emotions particularly to nature. Okay? And why do a poet or a novelist or a dramatist do so? In order to reflect the inner mind of narrator or character or the action that has been going on. So this is very important. This is the thing in which students get confused, because whenever they find some emotional expression of nature or something else, they would write pathetic fallacy. But see what has been written here. Whenever you want to express the inner mind of the characters or narrator or poet, then only you use pathetic fallacy, by providing human feelings to the object of nature. If I just say normally that the brutal wind, just in order to describe the nature, that will be personification, not pathetic fallacy. Okay? Example C. The wind howled outside as the woman mourned her child's death. See, I told you that the poet uses pathetic fallacy, or the poet gives human emotions and feelings to the nature of natural object, just in order to reflect the inner mind of or inner workings of the characters. Here, the woman has lost her child. So she has lost everything. She is in utter desolation. Her frustration, her pain has been reflected in nature. See, the wind is howling. Whenever I say dark clouds of gloom, for example, if I say that in my life there is a dark cloud of gloom, it means, dark cloud means, what does dark cloud suggest? Something bad is going to happen in nature, be it storm or heavy rain or something. And in my mind, my inner turmoil, my tumultuous mind is just connected with the weather. In the above example, the human action of howling has been attributed to the wind in order to reflect the actions and emotions of the character. Therefore, this is an example of pathetic fallacy. Now, let's move on to some examples that I have picked up from dramas, novels, okay, just for your better understanding. Charles Dickens makes use of pathetic fallacy in his novel Great Expectations. At the beginning of chapter 39, his protagonist Pip comments on the wretched weather. Why did I pick this particular extract from the novel? Because we all have read Great Expectations either in graduations or in masters, be it you are from University of Calcutta or any other university. That was why I have picked up this particular extract. So day by day a vast heavy veil had been driving over London from the east, and it drove still, as if in the east there were an eternity of cloud and wind. So furious had been the gusts. Gust means here the gust of wind, the stormy wind, the heavy blow of the wind, that high buildings in town had had the leads stripped of their roofs, and in the country trees had been torn up and sails of windmills carried away, and gloomy accounts had come in from the coast of shipwreck and death. Violent blasts of rain had accompanied these rages of wind, and the day just closed as I sat down to read had been the worst of all. So, see here, furious gusts of wind. The stormy wind is like an angry man, a furious man. Rages of wind. So, the aggressive nature of human being, or I can also say the violent nature of human beings, has been compared with the gusts of wind, the stormy wind. This particular natural expression, the particular expression in the nature or pathetic fallacy is reflecting again the disturbed state of mind of the protagonist. If you have read the story, you will definitely know this. Read the novel, sorry. Okay. In the next example, the most famous example of pathetic fallacy. See, the pathetic fallacy examples in the above lines describe the ominous, something bad is going to happen, atmosphere on the night of Duncan's murder. So, if you have read, of course, you have read Macbeth in your graduation. So, what happened there? Macbeth was in a moral dilemma whether to kill Duncan or whether not to kill Duncan. First of all, Duncan was a noble king and his uncle. So, how can he kill his own uncle? Another thing was Duncan has arrived there as a guest. A host should protect the guest, not to murder him, right? And another thing was that why he was so disturbed, why his mind was so disturbed. Duncan was the person who had given Macbeth everything that he needed, a noble rank. Because of Duncan, actually, he achieved such fame, such admiration from the subjects, right? So he did not actually want to kill Duncan, but on the other hand, his greed, his over ambitious nature, because of which he wanted to become a king. He had everything, but still he wanted to become a king. And we all know that Macbeth had Donalbain and Malcolm as his sons. So definitely after his death, either Malcolm or Donalbain was going to be the king. So there was no chance of Macbeth or his sons to become the king. So therefore he was in a moral dilemma. The tumultuous mind of Macbeth has been reflected in these lines, and at the same time the actions that was going to happen, the heinous crime that had going to be committed by Macbeth was also reflected in these lines. See, the night has been unruly. Unruly means uncontrolled. You just cannot control something, like the unruly children who are so aggressive, so disorderly that you cannot control them. Similarly, both Lady Macbeth and Macbeth's greed, their ambition, everything, over ambitious nature is uncontrollable. They have no control over themselves. They will do what they have decided to do. Where we lay, our chimneys were blown down, and as they say, lamentings heard in the air, strange screams of death, and professing with accents terrible of dire compassion, and confused events new hatched to the woeful time. The obscure bird clamored the livelong night. Some say the earth was feverous and did shake. So earth was feverous. Feverous means feverish, which means the earth is sick, ill. Again, human quality, human emotions. So the unruly night, the screams of death in the air, and the feverish earth depict the evil act of murder that happened a night before. Understood? So, now let's come to the differences between pathetic fallacy and personification. See what has been written here. Personification is a border term. broader term which included pathetic fallacy in it. So pathetic fallacy is also a type of personification. You have to keep it in mind that pathetic fallacy is nothing else but a type of personification, and personification is a broader term. It gives human attributes to abstract ideas, animate objects of nature, or inanimate non-natural objects also. Examples of personification that are not pathetic fallacy would include saying that the waves winked in the sunlight. See how beautifully it has been written, the waves winked in the sunlight. Or the wind played hide and go seek among the trees. Since neither of these suggests any particular emotion, so obviously this is going to be the examples of personification. As I said earlier, that personification attributes human qualities, actions and behaviors, but not human emotions and feelings that come to pathetic fallacy. So pathetic fallacy is a kind of personification that gives human emotions to inanimate objects of nature. If a writer mourning the death of a loved one writes that the flowers on the grave drooped in sadness, this would be an example of pathetic fallacy since the flowers do not in fact feel sad. So the drooping, bending of the flowers has been connected with the pain that the writer was feeling at the sudden demise of his friend. Again, pathetic fallacy is often associated only with the attribution of human emotions to aspects of nature, sun, sky, wind, etc. While personification is applied to things both natural and man-made. As I said, that personification is a broader term. It includes everything. Animate objects in nature, inanimate objects in nature, man-made objects, everything. You can just take a glass or a pencil box and you can just imagine a conversation between them. That can be also a personification. Okay. Pathetic fallacy, another difference. Pathetic fallacy is a type of personification which specifically involves the reflection of characters' feelings and emotions or the actions of the story. In the example where we see, is particularly in Macbeth, that the portion which I have picked up clearly revealing the inner state, disturbed state of Macbeth's mind and also the actions that had happened at the night when Macbeth killed selflessly Duncan. Personification. Personify creates vivid imagery and beautify a text. So here what did we get? Let's sum up. So personification tries to create vivid imagery and it actually beautifies a text. Whereas, why do a poet use pathetic fallacy? Because he or she wants to reflect the feelings and emotions of the characters and also to hint at the actions that is about to happen or has happened. So this was a small lecture comprised of the difference between pathetic fallacy and personification. I tried my level best to give you a clear conception of these two terms. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you really liked my style of teaching, then please like, share and subscribe to my channel, and also share my videos with your friends so that they can also get benefited. Please support me and encourage me so that I can make more such useful videos for you. Till then, thank you, goodbye, have a good day, bye.